Deer tracks from a day or two ago near this brook, but I doubt he was here for water. There's lots of water right now, just passing through. Snowshoe hare, he was very busy feeding in here. He was at ease, felt safe and confident. You can tell because the print sets are close together. A few odd rodents coming out. The animals are very busy today. It's quite warm. And our hare came from that direction and went back in that direction. It's a little past mid-February, and in contrast to the last set of videos that I shot 2 or 3 days ago when we had a striking cold snap with sub-zero temperatures, today it's 34 degrees now. It'll probably hit closer to 40 as the sun progresses across the sky. And I'm back in the same old forest, one of my favorite regions of the Nova Scotia Acadian woods, to do some tracking. And the animals are very active today. They're taking advantage of this warmth and low snow. There are tracks all over the place. Good day for tracking. I think I'll stop deeper in the forest and have a lunch, and I'm going to be out here till sundown. Probably harvest some mushrooms. I'm hoping to come across some oysters. I know there are some turkey tails back here that arose during the warm spell from a couple weeks back, but Daphne says we have lots of turkey tails, so I guess I'll leave them. It's a good day to be in the woods, good day for tracking. It is really very active today. Here we have fairly fresh tracks of a deer. Looks to be a smallish buck. And it was heading into the forest that way. These are fairly fresh tracks. There's still a lot of detail in these tracks. So this was made, given that it's warm and the snow is slowly melting, this was made within the last couple hours. And right here, notice the little tiny bits of tail and the dragging pattern through the snow and what otherwise might be mistaken for a common rodent. There's a little bit of tail showing in it and a lot of sign of skidding. It's a relatively small animal. This could easily be mistaken for a rodent, I think. But I'm pretty sure that this is a least weasel. Unfortunately, in this soft and very plastic snow, there aren't any really clear prints for me to positively ID that track. But I think it's close enough for government work, as they say. Here we have a bounding rodent. No tail marks in the snow. It's bounding much like a squirrel would, and yet those track patterns are barely an inch across, not even quite that. This is a vole. And these woods are full of voles. Have some kind of bracket mushroom there, but if we go up a little bit, we get into a growth of horsehoof fungus. That's a highly medicinal fungus, but it's not fresh anymore. It's not really any more good for using for medicine. However, if it was nice and dry, I could hack it off of there and use it for fire starting. But I don't need it. I have plenty of chaga that I've made tea out of and then re-dried, and it's always in my pack for starting fires the old-fashioned way. This is such a beautiful forest, and sadly it is so rare. You liking this, boy? You like the forest? Good dog. This is so rare. All of Nova Scotia forests, almost all Nova Scotia forests used to be like this, but now it's mostly been mown down and replaced with pulp plantation, most of it jagged and ragged. The trees so closely spaced that you can barely walk underneath them, and certainly the ground is so jagged it's ripped up and replanted and ripped up by heavy machinery so many times it's hard to find a steady piece of ground in there. Pulp plantations virtually devoid of wildlife, and so much of Nova Scotia woodlands have now been converted to pulp plantation. This immense natural beauty and this treasure trove of wildlife is quite rare, and it's always in danger, always at risk of being cut for greed. The spring-fed forest filtered water in these brooks is pure as crystal. Frozen over here, but the ice is thin and I can access it if and when I need it. I'm on the north side of the slope now, and the area is retaining its snow, even though oddly the air is really quite warm. So, and this is why I put the camera on. Come across fresh tracks of a deer. We have two separate deer here moving, which means these are does. Bucks don't move together at this time of the year. But does tend to form up into little groups, and they could be, and the groups are usually related. You'll have a doe mother and perhaps her doeling. It's possible you could have an immature buckling that's not quite fully grown yet with the group. Often enough, unrelated does will form up, whereas the bucks become solitary creatures again once the rut is over. However, the weather has been so unusually warm this year that I have a feeling that their behavior is as confused as the weather itself. You might be able to hear the water down there. There's a substantial brook, one might call it a small river, less than 100 meters off that way. I'm going to head down there, throw up the hammock, put up the stove, and Will-O-Wisp and I will have lunch. You hungry, boy? Yeah, he knows hungry. He's always hungry. Come on, pal, let's go eat. Magnificent, gorgeous, huge, ancient trees in this valley. Perhaps never touched by loggers or the pulp cartel. This looks like a good place to stop for a break and spend some time. There's lots of tracks in here. Huge coyote tracks. I suspect there's a den up site for coyotes. Somewhere within half a mile to a mile of here. I won't go much closer. I don't want to spook them and force them to have to move. But I will enjoy tracking them, and we'll see what else we can find. In fact, here's some of their tracks right here when they came running through here this morning. And we have more of their tracks, quite fresh. Very well defined. Moving through here at an easy walk. There's an excellent example. Notice at the back of the pad, there's no three dividing lobes. The negative space has a little bit of space, but it's almost straight across. It's a coyote track. Medium-sized one, 40, 50 pounds. This would be ideal terrain for them to den up in. Time for me to den up, so to speak. I'm going to put up the hammock now and have a break. Well, I like to carry a light hammock when it's like this, because in Nova Scotia on a snowy day it can be hard to find a dry place to sit, and this is the smallest seat you can carry, and it goes up in about 2 minutes. Now that that's taken care of, first things first, a cup of tea. After I have tea, I'll get lunch started. Will-O-Wisp knows what's coming in. He's ready. You hungry, boy? Yeah, he's ready. Daphne made me some dried watermelon. And it used to be in separate strips, but it's been in my pack for a while, so now it's like one big solid mass. If you've never tried this, this is wonderful. Just put watermelon in a dehydrator, cut it into 1-inch strips, cut it into 1-inch long strips, and it tastes a lot like toffee. It's very sweet. It's like candy. I'm fairly sure there's a trout swimming just behind the lee of that stone down there. Good sized one too. Can't always see it because of the stirring up of the water, but now and then there's a clear moment and I can see what looks to be something long and dark swinging its tail slowly from side to side, taking advantage of the lee and the current right there behind that stone. But look at this brook, at the beauty and the clarity of the water. Look at this setting. Here in the deep woods, this is the kind of pure and untouched terrain where one would find trout in the water. I do believe the water at my stove is just about to boil, which means it's about time to get on to the next step of making lunch. I like these old-fashioned stoves. They're pretty heavy duty. They last forever. Looks like food's almost ready though. Will-o-wisp is certainly eager. He knows he's going to be sharing. So it's not the fanciest meal, but I'm just looking for warmth and calories, and it'll do. It's good macaroni and cheese, no artificial ingredients, and some pepperoni I threw in there, little paprika, and powdered milk to enrich the cheese. Here's a little tracking lesson. You see a twig down there, maybe a ½ inch wide and 14 to 16 inches long at the edge of the bank, and as you can see, it's completely denuded of bark. What did that? If you said beaver, you got the answer right. This is a twig that a beaver cut, peeled the bark off, and ate the rich cambium underneath. That's what beavers largely feed on, and hence why they harvest trees. The presence of that stick means something in terms of survival. It means that there is a beaver lodge upriver. How far up is anybody's guess. Probably closer than farther, but within a couple of miles upriver. Means that if you were to drink this water, you could conceivably develop beaver fever. So you need to be cautious with this water. If you were to use it, you'd want to filter it or boil it if you don't have a filter, and make sure it's boiled thoroughly and adequately. A bit sad that. Nice growth of chaga there, 20 feet off the ground, and the same right up that tree there. Well, I don't need any chaga. I've probably got 30-40 pounds of it at the house, along with turkey tail and various ganodermas and reishi, really set for medicinal fungi. There's more right over there on that birch tree, on the other side of this little river. Gorgeous, gorgeous country. There are various maples in here and beeches and such, and given our warm spell, I just thought I'd go hiking through here within a couple hundred yards of our day camp and see if I could get lucky and perhaps find some oyster mushrooms. They like to come up midwinter days when we get a warm spell above freezing. A whole bunch of horsehoof fungus growing in that dead tree there. They were fresh last summer, not so much anymore. There are deer tracks everywhere, everywhere in this hardwood, all throughout this place. Of course, hardwoods make good feeding grounds, so they draw the deer. Everywhere you go, deer and deer and more deer. There's a red squirrel chirping back there. Something has him alarmed. It could be me, it could be a deer coming, it could be a coyote moving, it could be anything. Doesn't take much to get the red squirrels alarmed. I just figured out what is drawing the deer. Striped maple. This is everywhere, and it's a very important deer food source. The deer really are drawn to it during the winter, when it's one of the few things that can be found above the snow where they can reach it. Though it's a maple, it's a very easy to break wood, and there's a rich and edible cambium underneath its thin bark. The deer can pull off the outer bark and eat the cambium quite easily. And it is everywhere in here. This is the draw for the deer in here. Now, our recent unseasonable thaw, we have many mushrooms that are showing up early. That right there is Peptoporus betulina, the birch bracket. Just beyond, we have right there another fungus. It's too far away for me to identify with certainty. Maybe I'll go see it later. But that looks to me to be a red-belted conch. We're back out in the Hidden Valley, and this time Princess Daphne's with me. It's cloudier, darker, cooler, but winter is summer. Any day in the woods is a good day. Saw something large and black over there a moment ago. Not sure what it might be. Since I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, I'm going to assume it was just a raven curious about her food smells. There's will-o-wisp exploring the bank. He likes it out here. See if I can turn around without falling in. Bit of a strong current here. And the sun is moving into the west. It's about a half an hour till it reaches the ridge of the hills. Probably an hour and a half till it hits the horizon, giving us a good 2 hours till dark. Plenty of time for a leisurely visit before we have to consider heading back. This is going to be a wilderness research lab area for me this summer. I need to get to know this terrain. There are many high hills around us, shees as the Scots say. This kind of terrain can indicate caves. Lots of marble in the ground around here, which also indicates the possibility of caves. Many wildlife dens. The dens of a pack of coyotes. The den of a pack of coyotes is not far from here. There have to be bobcats and or lynx back here, as well as black bears. Many other kinds of deep woods Nova Scotia wildlife. Excellent area for studies. I believe my tea is ready on the camp stove over there. So it's time to attend to that. This is an entirely new discovery to me. This is a substantial waterfall. I don't know that anybody is aware of this. Look at the drop. It just goes on and on. This is why it's worth getting off the beaten path. This is a remarkable waterfall. Discovered at the end of the day. There's much ice, slippery snow on the ground near the edge of this, so I'm not going to go any closer. So this is it for now. We'll come back after spring when the ground is thawed and the traction is good.
Keep watching to learn more about the natural world and the joys of getting to know it. As always, go soft, go gently, and leave no trace.
Let's go home, boy.